The nurse led them through polished corridors, past glass doors and muted hallways, until they reached a private suite reserved for VIP patients, a luxury that made Jasmine uncomfortable. "This is too much," she whispered. "This is what you deserve," Minsu replied simply. The nurse handed her a hospital gown and directed her toward the exam room. Jasmine shot a glance at her mother, who nodded reassuringly. "I'll be here when you come out," her mom said. Jasmine slipped inside. The exam took 40 minutes, ultrasounds, blood pressure checks, blood draws, medical history reviews, stress tests. The doctor's emphasis on health, stability, and emotional readiness made everything feel far too real. When the doctor finally said, "All perfect so far," Jasmine exhaled a shaky breath of relief. But then came the psychological evaluation, the part she had dreaded most. She sat across from Dr. Choi, a gentle-eyed woman with silver glasses and a soft voice. "Surrogacy is more than a physical journey," Dr. Choi said. "We need to understand your emotional readiness as well." Jasmine nodded, clasping her hands in her lap. The questions began harmlessly. "Why did you choose surrogacy? What are your expectations? Do you feel capable of detaching emotionally after birth?" But then the questions grew deeper. "Do you feel connected to the intended parents? Do you fear losing control? Is there anything about them that makes you uneasy?" Images of Minsu filled her mind. His subtle kindness, his protective instinct, his steady gaze, his unexpected warmth. The way her pulse reacted when he looked at her too long. Did he make her uneasy? No. But did she feel too much? Yes, too much. She forced a steady smile. "No concerns." Dr. Choi studied her carefully, as though she sensed the truth lingering beneath the answer. But she simply nodded and marked something on her tablet. "You're thoughtful," she said softly. "That can be a strength or a vulnerability. But for now, you seem grounded." After the session, Jasmine changed back into her clothes and stepped out into the hallway. She expected her mother. She found Minsu, standing alone, waiting. "Your mother and brother are in the cafeteria," he said. "I told them to get something to eat. I wanted to speak with you privately." Her heart skipped. "Is something wrong?" He shook his head. "No, but I wanted to make sure you're okay after everything. The exams can be overwhelming." Her throat tightened. "It was emotional," she admitted. "More than I expected." He nodded as though he understood too well. "I know this isn't easy," he said quietly. "And I know what you're doing comes from a place of sacrifice. I want you to know, I don't take that for granted." Her eyes softened. "You really care about this child?" "No," he said softly. "I care about doing the right thing." But something in his tone, gentle, almost raw, felt deeper, more personal. He hesitated, then added, "And I'm grateful that the person carrying my child is someone like you." Color rushed to her cheeks. She looked away, pretending to study the artwork on the wall. "You don't have to say things like that." "I know," he replied. "That's why I'm saying them." A silence bloomed between them, warm and fragile. Too fragile. Jasmine stepped back, trying to steady her voice. "I should get my family. Let me walk you." They headed toward the cafeteria. Whenever their hands brushed, a delicate shock ran through Jasmine's veins. And each time, Minsu's breath caught just slightly. Across town, Sophia Lee strutted into her penthouse office at Leeware's flagship headquarters, irritation bubbling in her veins. Her assistant hurried behind her holding garment bags and a stack of press schedules. "Ma'am, the photographer is asking." "Reschedule," Sophia snapped. "I'm not in the mood." She tossed her coat onto a chair, then froze when she saw something sitting on her desk. Printed email. From the hospital. Medical insurance activation confirmed for Jasmine Thompson, Kofi Thompson, Grace Thompson. Her jaw tightened. Minsu had actually done it. He added the Surrogate's entire family to their private medical plan. Sophia sank slowly into her chair, anger twisting inside her like smoke. "This is too much," she whispered. "He's becoming too invested." She grabbed her phone, dialing him immediately. He didn't answer. She dialed again. Still nothing. Sophia clenched her teeth. Fine. If he thought he would run this surrogacy without her involvement, he was wrong. She was going to the next appointment, whether he liked it or not. That evening, Minsu returned home far later than usual. He loosened his tie as he stepped into the quiet, dimly lit penthouse. Sophia was waiting, arms crossed, eyes sharp, anger simmering beneath her flawless exterior. "You didn't answer my calls," she said. "I was in meetings," he replied, unbothered. "You added her family to the insurance." Sophia's voice was cold. "Yes, without consulting me." He exhaled slowly. "Sophia, we talked about this. She's carrying our child. The least we can do is—" "It's too much," she snapped. "You're giving her treatment even I didn't receive when we were together. That's not the same, isn't it?" Her voice rose. "Because the way you look at her." His entire body tensed. Sophia stopped suddenly, realizing she had said too much. Minsu turned fully toward her. "The way I look at her, what are you implying?" She hesitated, and for the first time in months, something honest flickered in her eyes. "Fear. You're drifting from me," she whispered, "and I don't know how to make you stay." He stiffened. "Sophia." She looked down, voice quiet and bitter. "This baby was supposed to bring us closer in the public eye. But instead, you're becoming closer to her." He didn't answer, because he had no excuse, and because a part of him feared she wasn't wrong. Meanwhile, Jasmine lay awake in her small bedroom, staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. Not because of fear, not because of anxiety, but because she couldn't stop thinking about him. The warmth in his eyes, the softness in his voice, the way he defended her, the way he waited for her, the way his presence steadied her in ways she didn't want to admit. She turned over in her bed and buried her face in her pillow. "This is insane," she whispered. He was a married man, powerful man, her employer, the father of a child she hadn't even conceived yet. And still her heart raced whenever she thought of him. Still her soul warmed whenever he spoke her name. Still her stomach fluttered whenever their hands brushed. She covered her face, fighting back the truth she could no longer deny. She was falling, slowly, quietly, dangerously. She was falling for someone she had no right to love. And destiny had only just begun weaving their lives together. The next morning arrived wrapped in a cold drizzle that turned Seoul's skyline silver. Jasmine woke early, long before the sun made its slow climb over the city. She had barely slept, her mind running on a restless loop of yesterday's events. The tests, the conversations, the looks, the moments she should not have enjoyed, but did. She pushed the blankets away, sat up, and pressed her hands to her face. "You need to stop," she whispered to herself. "Stop remembering the warmth in his eyes. Stop replaying the way he crouched to talk to Kofi. Stop feeling that fragile, dangerous spark that had no business existing." He was her employer. He was married. He was off-limits in every way a man could be off-limits. But her heart, her traitorous heart, was inching closer to a line she had no right to cross. A soft knock came at her door. "Jasmine," her mother called. She inhaled and straightened. "Come in." Her mother entered with a gentle smile and sat beside her on the bed. "How are you feeling this morning?" "I'm okay," Jasmine said lightly. "A little tired. You were quiet all night. You barely touched your dinner." Jasmine hesitated. "Just thinking. About the tests? About all of it." Her mother exhaled and placed a warm hand on hers. "You're doing something strong and brave, but it's also okay to feel overwhelmed." Jasmine nodded, but her throat tightened. Her mother studied her face carefully, as if searching for what her daughter wasn't saying. "Baby," she said softly, "is there something else on your mind?" The truth nearly spilled out. Nearly, but Jasmine swallowed it down. Her mother had enough to worry about. "No," she said with a small smile. "I promise. I'll be fine." Her mother brushed a hand through her hair. "All right, but if you ever feel like talking, I'm here." Jasmine nodded, though she knew there were some things she couldn't confess. Some feelings she couldn't let see daylight, especially when they involved a man she was supposed to stay emotionally detached from. A man she couldn't afford to fall for. Across the city, Minsu walked briskly through the executive floor of Han Group headquarters, nodding absently at greetings from staff members he passed. Normally, he moved through this building with the effortless ease of a man born into power. Today he felt unusually distracted. His meeting with the board was in less than an hour. Important expansions, new contracts, international markets. Nothing about this morning should have been out of the ordinary, but something was wrong, and he knew exactly what it was. It was Jasmine, her quiet strength, her vulnerability, that gentle resilience she carried even in fear, the way she softened without breaking, the way she really listened when he spoke, and the way his chest tightened whenever he thought of her. He paused in the hallway and exhaled sharply. He couldn't afford this. He couldn't afford emotional involvement. He couldn't afford anything that would distract him from the already strained balance of his marriage, the company, and the surrogacy. Yet here he was, fighting the echo of a warm voice and soft smile. He rubbed the back of his neck and forced himself to move. He needed focus, precision, professionalism, but he didn't even make it to his office door. His vice president, Mr. Kong, intercepted him, tablet in hand. "Sir, the contracts from the Shanghai team need review, and the chairman wants an update on the surrogacy timeline." He asked if the screening was completed. Minsu stiffened. "I'll handle it." And Kong hesitated. "Mrs. Lee called twice asking for your location." "Of course she did." "Tell her I'm busy," Minsu said quietly. Kong nodded and walked away, but another voice cut across the hallway before Minsu could take a single step. "Minsu." He turned. Sophia stood at the end of the corridor, dressed in a fitted black pantsuit, her expression sharp as glass. His shoulders dropped, just slightly. "Sophia," he said flatly, "I'm late for a meeting." "This won't take long," she said firmly. "We need to talk." This wasn't the place. Not with employees watching. He gestured toward a private conference room and stepped inside. Sophia closed the door behind them. "What is it?" he asked. "Why didn't you tell me about the appointment yesterday?" she asked, arms crossed. His jaw tightened. "Because you weren't scheduled to attend." "I should have been." "It wasn't necessary." "It wasn't necessary?" she repeated, voice rising. "I'm the mother." He didn't react, because they both knew that technically, she wasn't. Not emotionally, not biologically, not maternally. Sophia's voice dropped, bitter and trembling. "You're shutting me out." He didn't deny it. Maybe he couldn't. She stepped closer, her eyes searching his. "Are you angry with me?" "No," he said quietly. "Then what is it?" Her voice cracked. "Because I'm losing you, Minsu, and I don't know how to stop it." He stared at her, at the gorgeous woman he had once tried to love, at the partner he had married for business, not emotion, at the wife who never wanted the one thing he secretly longed for, a family. Something inside him broke softly. "Sophia," he said gently, "maybe we lost each other a long time ago." Her eyes widened, shocked, hurt, wounded in a way she wasn't used to showing. She blinked rapidly and looked away, as though afraid to let him see her fall apart. "Will you at least keep me informed from now on?" she whispered. "Yes," he said. "I will." A lie, or at best, a promise he wasn't sure he could keep. Sophia nodded stiffly and left the room without another word. And the silence she left behind felt heavier than her anger. Later that afternoon, Jasmine returned from a part-time shift at the bookstore, mentally drained but grateful for the work. She had barely stepped inside the apartment when her phone rang. Unknown number. She frowned and answered cautiously. "Hello." A soft but polite female voice responded. "Hello. Is this Ms. Jasmine Thompson?" "Yes, who's speaking?" "This is security at the Han Group penthouse. Mr. Han asked that I notify you. He will be sending a car to pick you up tomorrow morning for the IVF preparation briefing." Jasmine froze. "A car?" she repeated. "Yes, ma'am." He said he wants you to have a comfortable private ride. The driver will arrive at 9. Her heart fluttered. Okay, thank you. And Ms. Thompson? Yes. There's also a delivery on the way to your residence from Mr. Han. Delivery? Jasmine blinked. What kind of delivery? But the call had already ended. She stared at the phone, confusion swirling in her chest. A delivery? What had he sent? A knock came at the door exactly 3 minutes later. Her mother opened it and gasped softly. 2 men dressed in black suits stood in the hallway with a large box wrapped in silver foil. They bowed respectfully. Delivery for Ms. Jasmine Thompson, one said. For me? She stammered. Yes, ma'am. From Mr. Han. They carried the box inside, bowed again, then left as silently as they had arrived. Jasmine stared at the beautifully wrapped package, heart beating too fast. Her mother stepped beside her. Open it. Jasmine carefully untied the silver ribbon and lifted the lid. Inside was a thick, luxurious winter coat. Cream-colored, soft, elegant, and clearly very expensive. On top of the folded coat was a small white envelope with her name written in neat handwriting. Her mother covered her mouth. Oh my goodness! Jasmine, this must cost. A lot, Jasmine whispered. Her fingers trembled as she opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten note. Tomorrow will be very cold. Please wear this so you stay warm. MH. The note felt too intimate, too thoughtful, too personal. Her heart fluttered painfully. Her mother looked at her, concerned. Jasmine, baby, what is happening between you and this man? Jasmine pressed a hand to her chest. I don't know, she whispered. I really don't. But she did know. She felt it. And she feared it. Something was beginning. Something deep. Something forbidden. Something impossible to stop. Something that could ruin all 3 of their lives. Jasmine held the coat tightly, her pulse wild and unsteady. She didn't see the danger coming. Not yet. But fate had already begun stitching their hearts together. And once fate starts weaving, it doesn't stop. Jasmine didn't expect her heart to beat this fast the second she stepped into the clinic's quiet waiting room. She paced slowly, her fingers shaking slightly. Part of it was nerves, part of it fatigue, and part of it him. Minsu. The more she tried to keep her feelings under control, the more they slipped through her fingers like warm sand. She inhaled. You're here for Kofi. That's all that matters. But before she could steady her thoughts, the door opened. And there he was, dressed simply, without the cold armor of a seal. Dark coat, black turtleneck, hair slightly tousled as if he'd been running his hands through it from stress. His eyes softened immediately when they met hers. You look tired, he said softly. Jasmine laughed weakly. You're not exactly sunshine yourself. His lips curved just enough to warm her chest. Then Dr. Kim entered, cheerful and bright as always, and the spell broke. Her update was promising. Jasmine's levels were rising well, the process was moving forward, and the next 72 hours would be crucial. But when Dr. Kim stepped out, leaving the 2 of them alone again, an uneasy silence settled over the room, full of things neither of them dared to say. Jasmine, Minsu said, voice lower now. Can you spare a few minutes after this? She blinked. Why? He hesitated, a rare, delicate crack in his controlled exterior. There's something you should see. Something in his tone made her chest tighten. Still, she nodded. When they stepped into the rooftop garden, Jasmine felt her breath leave her body. A hidden oasis above the city. Soft lights, winter roses. A glass railing reflecting Seoul's skyline. Wow! This is beautiful, she whispered. It's where I go when everything feels unbearable, he said quietly. She looked at him. You brought me here? He nodded. And that meant something. Too much, maybe. He turned toward the view, hands in his pockets. I wanted to apologize, he said. I didn't realize how much pressure this process puts on you. On us. The word hit her unexpectedly. Minsu. You don't owe me anything, she whispered. He shook his head. That's not true. He stepped closer, Not enough to cross a line, but enough for her heart to react. "That conference in Seoul," he said softly. "You inspired me. I never forgot you." Jasmine froze. "And now you're in my life again. Like this. And no matter how hard I try to keep things professional." He exhaled shakily. "I can't." Her chest tightened painfully. Minsu. But before he could say anything else, his phone rang. Sophia. Her name glowed on the screen like ice. He didn't answer. Not even on the second ring. Or the third. Instead, he looked at Jasmine with the kind of expression that could start wars. But the moment was ruined, and they both knew it. "I should go," she whispered. He reached for her hand on instinct, but stopped just before touching her. "Let me drive you." She shook her head. "Not tonight. Please." After a beat, he nodded. Their goodbye lingered painfully in the air as the elevator doors closed between them. Across town, Minsu finally answered the fifth call. "Where are you?" Sophia's voice snapped through the speakers. "At the clinic." "You're avoiding me." "I'm tired, Sophia." She scoffed. "You can rest after renewing the merger at the gala. And I need an update on the surrogate." He hesitated too long. Sophia noticed. "Why aren't you answering?" she demanded. "It went well," he said flatly. Sophia hummed. "Good. Once she delivers the baby and the deal is complete, you'll have your freedom." "I'll have mine." He froze. Freedom. The one thing he thought he wanted. But why did that word suddenly hurt? "And Minsu," Sophia added sharply, "don't let the surrogate get attached. Or worse, don't you get attached. People like her always catch feelings." His jaw clenched so hard it hurt. Too late. When Jasmine finally made it home, she dropped onto her bed, staring at the ceiling. The rooftop, his confession, the way he looked at her. She pressed a palm to her racing heart. "This can't happen," she whispered. "I won't fall for him." But her phone buzzed. A message from him. "Please rest. Call me if you feel unwell." Short, gentle, dangerous. Her breath trembled, because she already knew. Rest wouldn't come tonight. Not with her heart learning a new rhythm shaped like his name. Jasmine felt like her heart was trapped in her throat as she sat on the examination bed, waiting for Dr. Kim to return with the final test results. The air smelled like disinfectant and lavender, a strange combination that did nothing to calm her nerves. She squeezed the sleeves of her coat tightly, grounding herself. If this works, Kofi will finally have a chance. The thought alone was enough to steady her breathing. But beneath that was a quieter, more dangerous truth. If the pregnancy was confirmed, her life would become even more entangled with Minsu's, and she didn't know if she was ready for that. The door clicked open. Dr. Kim stepped inside, smiling in a way that told Jasmine everything before she even spoke. "Congratulations, Jasmine," she said warmly. "You're pregnant." The room spun. Her breath caught. For a moment, she forgot how to move. Pregnant. The word echoed in her chest, heavy and miraculous. Then she exhaled shakily, tears filling her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "I'll give you and Minsu a moment," Dr. Kim said, stepping aside. Jasmine barely had time to wipe her eyes before the door opened again. Minsu walked in, the tension melting into his expression the moment he saw her face. "You're pregnant," he whispered. She nodded, smiling through tears. And for the first time since she met him, she saw Minsu break. His eyes softened, shoulders lowering, a quiet breath of relief escaping him. He stepped closer, slowly, as if he feared overwhelming her. "Jasmine," he murmured, voice shaking very slightly. "Thank you." The sincerity in his tone disarmed her. This wasn't the CEO speaking. This wasn't a business arrangement. This was a man who had been drowning for years, finally breathing. She inhaled shakily. "This will help my brother. More than you know." He nodded, swallowing hard. "I'm glad." Their eyes held longer, deeper, more dangerously than before. This was the moment everything changed. Across Seoul, in a penthouse decorated like a magazine cover, Sophia Lee stood frozen with her phone pressed to her ear. "What did you say?" she demanded sharply. Her assistant repeated timidly. The clinic confirmed the surrogate is pregnant, ma'am. Sophia's stomach dropped. Her vision blurred. This wasn't supposed to happen. She had only agreed to the surrogacy because she believed Minsu was infertile. That was what she had been told years ago, in a whisper from her father's business partner, a man whose word she had trusted, because trusting meant she wouldn't have to carry a child, wouldn't have to risk her body, wouldn't have to face the possibility of dying the same way her mother did. Her mother, her beautiful, fragile mother, dead within hours of childbirth. That trauma lived in Sophia's blood. Childbirth meant death, loss, fear, pain. She pressed her palm to her forehead. "How is this possible?" she whispered. The assistant stayed silent. She didn't dare speak. Sophia's hand trembled. Pregnancy changes everything. It meant Minsu wasn't infertile. It meant the agency had lied or someone had. It meant Jasmine, the surrogate, now carried the heir to an empire. Sophia's influence would be gone. Her position unstable. Her marriage pointless. Her life spiraling. "No," she hissed, voice breaking. "This can't be happening." But it was. And the panic clawing through her chest only grew sharper. Jasmine stepped outside the clinic into a cool afternoon breeze, still dizzy from the news. She wrapped her coat tighter and exhaled, watching her breath fog the air. Then she turned and saw Minsu waiting by the sidewalk, hands in his pockets, watching her. She felt something warm move through her chest. "You didn't have to wait," she said softly when she reached him. "I know," he replied, "but I wanted to." Those words made heat gather behind her ribs. Then he gestured toward the street. "Let me take you home, Jasmine." She hesitated, but this time she didn't refuse. Silence filled the luxurious car, but it wasn't uncomfortable. It was charged, magnetic. Jasmine kept her eyes on the passing buildings, but she felt him look at her from time to time. Finally she spoke. "Are you happy? About the baby?" He inhaled slowly. "Yes. And scared," he added. She looked at him, surprised. "Scared?" He nodded. "Because a child means change, choices, responsibility." He paused. "But I've wanted change for a long time." Her heart tightened. He glanced at her again, eyes softening. "And this child is already more important than anything else in my life." Jasmine swallowed, her throat thickening. His words weren't romantic, but they were intimate, deep, honest. The kind of honesty that could ruin them both. They reached a stoplight and the car idled. Jasmine turned toward him, gathering courage. "Can I ask you something?" He nodded. "Anything." "That night in Seoul, at the conference. Do you really remember me?" His expression shifted, gentle, thoughtful. "I remember your voice first," he said. "You spoke about strength, about women fighting to be seen. I remember thinking, I wish I had even half that courage." Her breath caught. Then he added something unexpected. "I also remember something else." "What?" she whispered. "A man tried to attack me outside the hotel. You were there. You helped me." Her eyes widened in shock. He remembers. "And now, I didn't know it was you," he said softly. "Not until recently." She stared at him, stunned, her heart racing. "So all this time, you didn't know I was the one who helped you?" "No," he whispered. "But it makes sense now." He looked at her the way a man looks at fate. Not coincidence. Not accident. Something more. Her pulse hammered. "It seems," he said gently, "that you've been entering my life long before I realized." And Jasmine didn't know what scared her more, the truth, or how deeply it moved her. Sophia stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows of her penthouse, staring at the city like she could set it on fire with her anger. Pregnant surrogate, carrying the heir. Her nails dug into her palms. She dialed a number. A lawyer answered. "Mrs. Han, how may I assist?" Sophia's voice was icy. "I want to terminate the surrogacy contract." A pause. Then the lawyer cleared his throat. "That won't be possible." Sophia stiffened. "Why not? You signed away all maternal rights." The child is legally Minsu's alone. You cannot terminate or interfere. Her breath caught in her chest. Mrs. Han, the lawyer added, voice cautious, you were advised of this during the signing. Sophia felt like the room tilted. She had trapped herself. The lawyer continued, if you attempt to interfere, the agency will file charges. Sophia hung up abruptly and pressed her trembling wrists against the cold glass window. She wasn't the villain. She was a woman drowning. A woman who would lose everything if she didn't act. But deep inside, beneath the rage, was something raw and real. Fear. Jasmine arrived home, still overwhelmed. She gently placed a hand on her stomach. Hi, little one, she whispered. I guess it's you and me now. Her phone buzzed. A message from Minsu. I hope you rest tonight. You deserve peace. Her heart fluttered. Then she read the next line. Text me if you feel dizzy or unwell. I'll come to you. Jasmine sat on her bed, holding the phone to her chest. This wasn't supposed to happen. She wasn't supposed to feel anything. But she did. And painfully so. Back in his office, Minsu paced slowly, staring at the city through glass walls. His father had forced him into this marriage. Sophia had been trapped too. The company controlled everything. But now, a child. His child. Something pure. Something real. Something he never thought he'd have. His heart felt different tonight. Alive. And all he could think was, I want to protect them. Both of them. Morning light spilled across Seoul like liquid gold, warming the glass towers and quiet streets below. But inside the private waiting lounge of the Jonghan Surrogacy Center, the air felt colder than winter. Jasmine sat alone on the gray velvet couch, hands clasped over her purse, the faint hum of the air conditioning brushing against her skin. She was early for her wellness check, half because she wanted to avoid Sophia, and half because her nerves were a tangled mess she couldn't straighten out. Her phone buzzed in her palm. Mom, call me when you can. We need to discuss Kofi's next appointment. Jasmine swallowed. She hadn't told her mother that she was thousands of miles away in Seoul again. Not after the last argument. She needed clarity before bringing anyone else into the chaos of her decisions. Miss Jasmine. The nurse's soft voice pulled her from her thoughts. Dr. Huang is ready for you. Jasmine stood, inhaling deeply. Her body felt different now. Tired more easily, senses sharper, emotions unpredictable. The early signs of pregnancy were subtle but undeniable. Even still, she walked with quiet resolve. As she followed the nurse down the corridor, she passed a glass window revealing the city. People moved like tiny dots far below, unaware of the storm brewing behind this calm building. She placed a hand lightly on her belly. Hang in there, she whispered. Dr. Huang greeted her with a warm, practiced smile. Jasmine, come in. I have good news. Jasmine's hope flickered. Everything's okay? More than okay. He rotated the screen of his tablet toward her. Your hormone levels are healthy. The pregnancy is stable. Very stable. Jasmine felt her shoulders relax. Her heartbeat softened. Thank you. I was worried. That's normal. Dr. Huang leaned forward. But you're doing beautifully. And if you continue with proper rest and nutrition, this should progress smoothly. He hesitated then. Is something wrong? Jasmine asked. No, he assured gently. I just wanted to say that not all surrogacies feel like this. The emotional weight, the pressure, everything you're juggling. You're handling it with strength. Jasmine blinked back sudden emotion. Compliments weren't normal in her world. Survival was. She exhaled shakily. Thank you, doctor. The appointment ended with vitamin prescriptions and a long list of instructions she promised to follow. When she stepped back into the hallway, she expected silence. Instead, she froze. Sophia Lee stood near the exit, arms crossed, posture immaculate, expression unreadable. Her long cream-colored coat draped elegantly from her shoulders, her black stilettos clicking softly against the marble floor. Thank you for watching. Episode 2 ends here. Find out more about the story in episode 3 coming up soon. If you enjoyed the story, leave us a comment. Also share and subscribe to our channel, and click on the notification bell to get notified whenever a new story is made.